biographies and autobiographies, stories of unique people. Those are helpful. People in their moments of crisis, people in their moments of triumph, people in their valley of decisions. What a benefit that is. That's why the Bible is such a great book. It's a collection of human stories, as well as poetry and history. The collection of human stories, those that got it together and those that, flew apart. Those that did it right and those that did it wrong. Those that became admirable and those that became despicable. A collection of human stories. Now, you need the full range on human stories. You got to have a book on Gandhi and you need a book on Hitler. One to show you how noble and how high, and the other one to show you how low. One to be honored and the other one to be despised. I wish all of us could have poured the gasoline on Hitler's body and lit the match. Wow. But the noble to be inspired. Those who framed our Declaration of Independence and Constitution of the United States, those founding fathers, to be admired. And those that drug people into the depths of communism despair and fascism despair and Hitler's idea of the grand race ruling the world, I'm telling you, ideas to be admired and ideas to be despised, and those who gave birth to both. So be a student of the wide range, both those to be admired and those that turn out to be traitors. Okay, next is novels. Novels are good. A story that captures our attention and yet weaves in, the philosophy, the point that the author wants to get across. Ayn Rand was probably the best at that. She got us captured by the towering novels, Atlas Shrugged and all the rest. But she wove in her unique philosophy in the speeches and the dialogue. Okay? Good novels. Now, skip the trash. Make the note. Haven't got enough time to read the good stuff. Skip the trash. Somebody says, well, once in a while you can find something valuable in a trashy novel. Well, I wouldn't go through it. Why? You can find a crust of bread in a garbage can, but I wouldn't go through it. Number one, you don't need the reputation. Come on. Let us be mindful of what our children are reading. Let us be mindful of what they're seeing. One of the great intents of this incredible broadcast is to make sure that there's enough positive out there. Yes, we're going to have to compete, but I'm telling you, we're going to elbow our way in, and we're going to get some time, some air time, and some family time, and some personal time, and some mental time to get our message out there. And who knows, with such a modest beginning, how far it might go. A little leaven leaveneth the whole piece of bread. And we could well be the leaven for the nation, the leaven for the community that helps to ingest ideas out there into the marketplace so that people pick them up and take them with them when they go to the marketplace, when they go to the industry, when they go work on the job and secretary in the office and the child that goes to school. I'm telling you, what a chance for us to give good value out there with these kind of ideas in forms of that haven't been done before in such a pointed, distinct way. I'm excited about it. So, skip the trash, separate the chaff from the value, separate the evil from the good, and participate in the good. Let us be mindful of that. Next, good nutrition. Yes, there's big controversy out there, but you just got to put yourself through the controversy. One book says, do this, you'll live forever. This book says, if you do that, you'll die young. You say, well, what should you do? Here's what you should do. Read both books and make up your own mind. Don't be a follower, be a student. And make sure what you do is the product of your own conclusion. But don't resist the controversy. Welcome the controversy. That's what refines a good idea, the controversy, the debate. So, next. You've got to have some law. Now, you don't need to be a lawyer, but you do need to study. If you shake hands, what does that mean in court? We should all learn to read the fine print. I'm telling you, you don't have to be a lawyer, but you got to know contracts. You got to know what to sign, not sign. You got to learn how to read. You got to learn how to evaluate what you're committing yourself to. I'm telling you, great chunks of human life are sometimes lost to the wind by not paying a little bit of attention, knowing just a little bit. Not the full extent. You got to know some key things, what to avoid, what to look for in terms of, you know, the legal implications for the future, because there are many. It used to be a handshake was sufficient. All of my partnerships around the world and all my business dealings are all handshakes, but that's a bit rare. I'm telling you, study, make sure, a little bit of law. I think I've told some of you, right, I got in trouble not knowing when I signed a note for $250,000 that a company wanted to borrow from the bank. Bank said, no problem, if your friend Mr. Rohn will sign. I signed. They paid it all back. I knew they could. Then later I moved away. Found out later the company went back and borrowed this $250,000 again. And I said, hey, they're not going to make it this time. I hope my phone doesn't ring. I won't sign this time. My phone never rang. I never signed. Sure enough, the company went bankrupt. But then I got this letter from the bank saying, dear Mr. Rohn, we have here your personal guarantee for $250,000. The company now cannot pay. Would you please send us your check? I said, hey, something's wrong. I signed the first note. I never signed the second note. My phone never rang. Well, what I didn't know I originally signed was a continuing guarantee. Now I know what the word continuing means. I know how much it is per letter. So I'm asking you to be wiser than that. Next, accounting. You got to be able to give an account. You got to be able to give an account for your talent, an account for your capacity, how much you've used, how much you haven't used. There's a lot of things to give an account for, but especially your resources. You got to know the difference between a debit and a credit. You got to know how to read a financial statement to take a picture to see how you're currently doing. Are you on track or off track? I mean, you got to know. You can't just blindly go along and say, well, I'm trusting everything will be okay. It isn't going to be okay. You got to pay attention. Like the weeds in the garden, you got to pay attention. There's an ancient script that says, little foxes spoil the vines. You got to be mindful of the little foxes. Yes, the vineyard looks great, but unless you're looking close, the little foxes are going to take it. Why? They're busy when you can't see them. They're busy when nobody's watching, little foxes. And you got to be smart enough to give an account and see where the little foxes might be destroying your financial future, destroying your ability to be secure, you and your family. Pay attention to the little foxes. Okay. Next is culture. We must all be students of culture. Culture is part of the fabric of the nation. Part of the reputation of the nation is its culture, its refinement. Yes, we must be civilized societies, but we must be more than civilized. We must be refined, and then we must be more than refined. We must be sophisticated. If we're going to compete well in the 21st century, the nation must be refined as well as economic. It's not just paychecks that are important. Don't fall into the trap of making a living and failing to design a life. And part of the life design for both the nation and the person and the institution and the school and the group and the community is its taste for the fine, its taste for the finer things in life. And I'm asking you to make that study of culture and refinement, dance and poetry, those things that are unique to the human heart and human spirit. Don't leave that out of your repertoire of understanding culture. Next is spirituality. The Bible and all related books. I happen to be a believer. I'm asking you to be a student. Even if you've got some questions not yet settled, don't fail to do the research. Don't get too busy earning a living. Don't get too busy becoming successful without spending some time in a continuing search. And some things, right, the question will remain forever. Sometimes when the questions are never answered, you have to just go by faith. But I'm asking you to be a student of your own faith. Be a student of that side of you that says, hey, we're something more than animal. There's something unique about the human race. I wonder what it is. And even if you come to the conclusion it isn't any more than an advanced member of the animal family. Whatever conclusion you've come to, keep up the study. Don't leave that out, because in this grand experience of finding ourselves on this spinning planet with the ability to interchange with each other and come together for a common good, to build enterprises and institutions and a country second to none, on into the future. There's something marvelous about that unique ability, however it has come about. And be a student of the however. Did it come this way or did it come this way? What is my faith, and is it valid, and is it valuable to pass on to my children? Those are questions never to let go without continuing your quest. Then when you do settle it, keep up the studies. Because you can never learn it all in one lesson. You can never learn it all in one experience. Life is too grand for that. The grand march of civilization is too big for that. Keep up the studies. The rest of your life, what's valuable? What's right? What's wrong? What's good? What isn't good? Now, that's the mind. We've covered the physical. We've covered the spiritual. We've covered the mind. Now let me give you 4 steps to success. I'm moving rather quickly because we got so many subjects to cover. Everybody's fine? Say, I'm fine. Fine. I appreciate this fine crowd. This is a great experience. I wish my old high school friends were here. Walking in tall cotton, we call it down south. Here's 4 steps to success. Number 1, good ideas. Be a collector of good ideas. Shof taught me to keep a journal. And I've been talking about it all these years. Keep a journal. Here's what he said. Don't trust your memory. It's too faulty. You say, oh, I'll remember that. Chances aren't good. Okay, so put the odds in your favor by capturing good ideas. Be a collector of good ideas. Learn to recognize good ideas. Don't be lazy here. This is the substance with which the set of your sail is refined. Without this, a faulty sail will take you in some direction you don't want to go the next 5 years. So be serious. This is for serious students of life and business and social and personal and money and enterprise and family and future and equities, heart, soul, mind, spirit. This is for serious students. I've got journals now that go all the way back to the early times. My journals are sort of a composite of my life. Tall ones and short ones and little thin ones. You could tell when I was broke. Little 25-cent little spiral notebooks. And you can tell now I'm rich. My journals. So be a collector of good ideas, good health ideas, how to have a good relationship ideas. Don't just waste them. Don't waste them. Collect them so that you can ponder them again. I'm asking you to also be a student. It's one thing to watch and it's another thing to study. I'm asking the people in this room to make the extra effort to study. Some people are just going to benefit, by just watching it, and some things will click and they'll be better off for it. But I'm asking everybody in this room to be students because you're going to have responsibilities most people aren't going to have. You're going to touch people most people aren't going to touch. You're going to have a chance to walk in corridors most people aren't going to have a chance to walk. I'm asking you to be extraordinary students of gifts and awareness and ideas and enterprise and possibilities and skills and disciplines and values. So take the extra time. Keep a journal. Next is a good plan. You got to have good plans. You can't just operate out of your head, and we'll speak a little bit more about that tomorrow as well. You can't build a house out of your head. You'd make too many mistakes. You got to commit it to paper. Good plans. You need a good game plan, a good plan for your health. What is your plan for your financial future? If I lingered after this session was over today and you told me in great detail your plans for your financial future, would I get so excited I'd go across the country and lecture on it? You say, well, Mr. Rohn, you might not want to lecture on my financial plans. The next question is, why not? Have you reached this point of maturity in your life and you don't have plans that have got you excited? The blood is hot. You're up early and staying up late, driven by your own immense desire to fulfill your plans. I'm telling you, if you haven't got it, now's the time to get it. Now here's the next step to success. Learning to handle the passing of time. Everything has to pass through time. As frustrating as that is sometimes, yes, time yields a fortune, but time also presses us into sometimes being impatient. Some people plant in the spring and leave in the summer. They haven't got the patience to see it through. They start something and don't have the patience to finish it out. Learning to handle the passing of time. It takes time to build a good project. It takes time to build an organization. It takes time to build a corporate work of art. It takes time to build a symphony orchestra. It takes time to construct a family that has influence in the community and eventually the country. It takes time. So jot this down. Give your people time. It takes time for people to change and develop. It takes time for people to respond. It takes time for someone to mentally digest a feast that you might give them on one splendid occasion. It takes time. It takes time to turn around. It takes time to choose a new direction. It takes time to walk the disciplines. So give the project time. Give your people time. Give your family time. Here's the most important one. Give yourself time. Don't cut yourself off too soon saying, oh, this will never work for me. Give yourself more time. If I can learn it, you can learn it. If I can find the book, you can find the book. If I can change, you can change. Give yourself some time. Don't get frustrated with yourself. I know that's an inclination, but hang in there with yourself. You got to have patience with a lot of things. One of the main ones is to have patience with yourself. You can learn it as well as anybody can learn it. You can digest it as well as anybody. If anybody's got multiple skills, you can develop multiple skills. You don't lack the capacity. So have some patience with yourself. Two things will wreck your chances to do well. Here they are. Impatience and greed. Both are twin killers. Greed, I'm telling you, there's no place for greed in a civilized, refined, sophisticated society. Contrary to the movie Wall Street, greed is not good. The great speech was given saying greed is good because it drives the market. I'm telling you, it's not good. We have to legislate against greed. Greed is evil. Here's why. Greed hopes for something for nothing. Greed hopes for more than its share. Greed hopes for something at the expense of others. It's not good. Should be legislated against. Somebody should go to jail. That's why we have antitrust. That's why communism is not good. So greedy, communist wants one party, all of the capital belonging to the state and not the people. It's greed in its ultimate diabolical form. Our president was right when he called it an evil empire, not the Russian people, the communist system of greed, collecting all the power in one party, collecting all the money in one party. It leads to despotism. It leads to dictatorship. It leads to evils that have scourged the world for 6,000 years. Let us not be a part of it. You say, well, then how can you succeed? Here's how you can succeed. With legitimate ambition. We talked about that early. The ambition to preside over much. The ambition to make a fortune. But to do it so that everybody wins. The ambition to preside over much, but do it so that everybody wins. Now here's the next one, impatience. I'm telling you, it's deadly. Americans probably have to work on this harder than anybody else. In our push-button society, I'm telling you, Americans are almost out of control. We pick up the phone, don't get a dial tone in 2 seconds, bam, bam, operator, what's wrong with this phone? I'm telling you. It's unbelievable. It's fun to watch Americans in Spain, where you start your call in the morning, get it finished in the afternoon. I've watched some Americans go to Spain, pack up their bags, come back home. Can't stand the change of pace. Patience, patience. I've got a motorhome, right? I'm getting up on the freeway. Missed a gear. It's taking me an extra 2 or 3 seconds. The guy behind me loses it. I'm telling you, not 2 or 3 minutes, 2 or 3 seconds. Somebody once said the shortest period of time in America is the time between when the light turns green and you hear the first horn. The guy behind me loses it. Passes me on the right. Can't wait. Screaming out the window. Get that blankety-blank thing off the road. Passes me, shaking his fist, trying to steer. Wheels throwing gravel and rocks off in the landscaping. Fishtails out in front of me. Almost wipes out a couple of cars for 2 or 3 seconds. I'm telling you. Americans. But guess what? I get in my car and I get behind one of these motorhomes. I mean, what is that stuff that starts down here, goes off like a rocket? Patience. Patience with yourself. Patience with your projects. Here's a good phrase from ancient script. In due season. You shall have a harvest if you do not faint. In due season, your harvest will come if you do not faint. If you're not faint of heart, if you don't give up too soon. Patience, hang in there. Now here's the last one in the steps to success. It's called the solving of problems. We've all got problems. Social problems, personal problems. Business problems, family problems, emotional problems, financial problems. The list is endless. But that's what life is all about. The solving of problems. What else is new? This is the deal while we're here on the spinning planet. Solving problems. Now here's the key to solving problems. Number one, break it down to its simplest form. And at least get started on it. For your health, you break it down to just, half a dozen things and get started on them. You can do a few more sophisticated things, but I'm telling you, get started on a half a dozen things. Break it down to its simplest component and start there. I met Neil Armstrong one time, first man on the moon. Neil had a good talk. He said going to the moon was just a matter of solving a couple of problems. I thought, that's interesting. He said, problem number one, how to get there. And then you just figure that out. And then he said, problem number two, how to get back. Just a couple of problems. Now he said, you've also got to be smart enough not to leave till you've solved both problems. Whoa. I could have used that advice in building some of my companies. I figured out the first one, how to get in. Now, here's another piece on solving problems, on paper. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. But I found it useful to take a piece of paper, draw a line down the center, and just state the problem. Put it over here. This is the problem. And you just lay it out in best language you can. Sometimes when you take something out of your head, because so much is going on in your head sometimes, you got to take what's going on in your head, all the stuff, take out a piece of it, like a problem, and state it. So you can look at it, and then you say, is that all? You say, well, isn't it a little negative to, look at the problem? The answer is yes. You got to be a little negative. You can't have good answers unless you know the full extent of the problem. You can't just brush it off. If you didn't feel well and you go to the doctor and say, hey, doc, I think, better take a look. He says, no, come on, just think positive and take this stuff and you'll be okay. Say, no, doc. Shouldn't we take a look? And the answer is yes, you should take a look. If your family isn't working well, you should take a look. If your health isn't working well, you should take a look. If you haven't got plenty of oxygen in your lungs, you should take a look. If you haven't got the strength in the middle of the day, you need to take a look. If you haven't got the skills to operate in the marketplace, you got to take a look. If you haven't got the money, you need to take a look. Shove said, how much money? I said, not much. He said, we need to take a look. And this is what you got to do once in a while, is take a look, state the problem. Now, let's talk about the answers and the solutions. And I've got 3 questions to ask to solve almost any problem. And here it is. Question, how can we solve this problem? First question, what could I do? And then just see if you can't work it out. There's no use going any further to solve a problem if you can work it out. And then develop what we call, doing business around the world, working papers. I could do number 1, I could do number 2, I could do number 3. And then you take a look and you say, right now I can see number 3 would take too long. Number 2, I'm still not sure. Number 1's looking better all the time. Maybe my first inclination was right. Working papers, thinking on paper, which we'll talk about more tomorrow. Now, if that doesn't solve it, here's question number 2. What could I read? There might be a book on your problem. Somebody spent a lifetime, went through some experiences that were unbelievable, and capsulized it in a book, and there's the answer to your problem. What could I read? Maybe some notes you've taken before. You go back and search through. How about that seminar I attended? I wonder if there was stuff in there that might solve my problem for the day. Do some research. Some more working papers. Here's book number 1. This guy's crazy. That's obvious right away. Book number 2, not sure. Book number 3, you just, develop some working papers on your reading. Now, here's the key. Don't hesitate to read. If you've got a problem, don't just, try to say, oh, I think this is it and then go. No, be sure if you can solve it yourself, fine. If you can't, do a little research. You got to do the reading up front. My friend Kenny, I'm telling you, got lost in the fog and lost one of the most beautiful, gorgeous, lovely ladies ever. Sophisticated, superstar lady. He lost her. And after his divorce, he came to me and said, you know, I found a book in my library that I think would have saved my marriage. I said, Kenny, what book is that? He said, it's a book called How to Live with Another Person by Nuremberg. It's a good book, How to Live with Another Person by Nuremberg. Kenny said, you know, that book would have saved my marriage. But guess when he read it? After his divorce. I'm asking you, don't read this stuff too late. Don't do the, oh, by the way. Say, I've got to have an answer. I'm going to do some searching. If you search, you will find. Finding is reserved for the searchers. And no matter what you need to find, you can find it if you search long enough. Now, here's number 3. Who could I ask? If number 1, number 2 doesn't do it for you, then number 3, get someone that's got some information, got some experience. Now, let me give you 2 points on asking. Number 1, don't hesitate to ask. But here's number 2, don't ask first. See if you can solve it first. See if you can do it. See if you've got the answer somewhere locked up, either in your head, your heart, or in a book somewhere. Then, if that doesn't work, then don't hesitate to ask. Here's 2 legitimate questions. Number 1, will you help me? That's legitimate. If you're down, I'm telling you, you got no other recourse and time is running out, yes, ask for help. But make sure your second question is not, will you help me again? Here's the second legitimate question. Will you teach me? Now that you've helped me, will you teach me? So that I can help myself and others. Because once you've helped yourself, see, influence now multiplies it by no telling how many factors. But do ask. But you can't believe how quickly someone will give you some help if when you start to ask, you show them your working papers on everything that you tried to figure out, on all the books that you've read and still couldn't find the answer. Now, when you say, will you help me? You'll get plenty of help, because we love to help people that, first of all, want to help themselves. Guess what we want to give answers to? Ready soil that we know is going to do something with it. We don't want to just give answers to somebody we're not sure what they're going to do with them. But if somebody has prefaced their asking sincerely, and now we know that it's fertile soil, and now that if we deliver the message, now if we give some answers, it's not going to be wasted. It's going to be utilized. We love to do that. And you can't believe the help you'll get if you work on that premise. My daughter Linda used to love to travel a lot before she got married. She'd come to me and say, you know, Daddy, I'm heading for Bangkok. Got the money put aside. I said, Linda, you must be my daughter. She said, kids were doing this, and I didn't spend the money. They wanted to go here, and I didn't go. I've saved up the money. I've saved $1,000. I said, Linda, how fabulous. You are something else. She said, now to make the trip, I only need a couple of thousand more. That's the deal, right? She knew the whole 3,000 would be pretty tough. But if she put the first 1,000 together, the next 2 was easy. And I'm asking you to be so like-minded. If you want some help, be willing, first of all, to help yourself. When you come to ask for help, let somebody see that your knuckles have been skinned. Let somebody see that your muscles are weary and tired. Let somebody see that you have put yourself through the paces. Don't come and ask for help looking fat and sleek. You got to come looking for help, looking emaciated. Putting in 18 hours a day and still haven't found the answer. Then somebody's willing to invest an idea in somebody, first of all, that was willing to do everything possible, burn the midnight oil and stretch to, first of all, help themselves. Okay. Next. Isn't this good stuff? I'm telling you, this stuff changed my life. When I first started hearing it, couldn't sleep nights the first year. I was so excited about making these changes, discovering things that added such benefit to my life. Okay, let's raise a subject now called behavior in the marketplace. Behavior in the marketplace. This was such an important study for me back at age 25, 26, 27. I had to make a good study of myself. I had to make a good study of my opportunities. Then third, here's what I had to study, the marketplace. What does it take a person in the marketplace to work the magic so that it produces, so that it returns? Sometimes the return is multiplied so staggeringly well that you cannot believe, having exercised just a little idea, just a little bit of time, and the return is so incredible. Let's talk about the marketplace and how to take advantage of it. And here's the study of the marketplace, benefits and consequences. Many times it's not a matter of morality. Now, it is possible to act unmoral in the marketplace. But sometimes it's not a matter of morality. It's just a matter of behavior. So let's go through some of these things on behavior in the marketplace. First, study your marketplace. When you're out there, you got to study the kind of people you're with, the community you live in, the people you're out there doing business with. You got to study. Now, there are some things that are common to all marketplaces and some things that are a little bit different, and I'll cover that here. Here's the first thing to watch, especially in the marketplace, and that's your language. Some people have, an inclination to use bad language, profanity, cuss a little, they say, well, it's just part of my nature. But I'm telling you, in the marketplace, it could be very costly. Now, I'm not putting right and wrong on this stuff now. This is not a matter of good or evil. This is simply a matter of consequences or benefit in the marketplace. There are some places, I'm telling you, your bad language will not be accepted. So here's one of the things to watch in the marketplace, and that's your language. Here's what's acceptable to all levels of society and all places of location, and that's good language. And here's the best advice I can give you. Be on the high side of conservative when it comes to your language. If there's ever a place to be conservative, this is it, your language. So be careful how you speak. Don't put your dirty stories in the marketplace. Save them for the bar, maybe, but you have to find a pretty sleazy bar. But watch your language in the marketplace. I'm telling you, you'll be unaccepted in some circles. You say, well, hey, I'll cuss wherever I please, use profanity wherever I please. Whoever can't handle that, that's tough. I'm saying that's okay. But I'm saying if you haven't calculated the consequences, I'm telling you, you need to sit down someday and do that and ask yourself, how much is it costing just in monetary? Let alone the friends you haven't got, let alone the small circle you have to live in, let alone people that don't want to be around you. What about the cost just in monetary value? Said, here's a guy that could make $150,000 a year. He makes $50,000 a year. Well, how come he only makes $50,000? How come he loses the other $100,000? It's his dirty mouth. You say, could it cost you $100,000 a year? And the answer is yes, of course. So I'm not telling you, swear, not swear. I'm just telling you, be careful, especially in the marketplace, because that's where the money is. Here's another one, habits. Smoking in the marketplace, you got to be careful now, especially. You walk into an office and you say, where's your ashtray? Haven't you got any ashtrays? No ashtrays probably means what? They don't smoke. You say, hey, if people can't handle my smoke and that's tough, I'm saying that's okay. I'm not saying moral, immoral. I'm saying if you're careless here, it could be very costly. And you got to add it up someday. I wonder what it's cost me in the last 10 years to be careless. You wouldn't even want to know the number. So be cautious when it comes to habits. Now, smoking, I don't happen to smoke, so I don't have this challenge, except a fine cigar. After a unique meal, some restaurants, especially in London, England, Australia, still know how to prepare a gentleman's cigar. Fine restaurant, fine meal. Mostly for style. As long as you're smart enough to know which end to dip in the brandy. But be careful of your habits. Here's one, being late, chronically late, I'm telling you, is a disaster. Some people say, hey, waste my time, don't waste my time, waste your time, got to be on time. You say, well, that's kind of narrow. Well, there's some narrow folks out there that have got the money. That's where the business is. So I'm asking you to just be careful. Next is dress. Sometimes this now changes with location. West Palm Beach, you can, show up on a business day looking casual, business casual, but not San Francisco. What'll fly on a business day in West Palm Beach won't fly in San Francisco. So that's why I'm saying study your market. And just make sure you're appropriate, right? You don't have to go overboard here. You don't have to, just be a conformist here, but I'm saying be smart here. Don't let a few careless things cost you $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $250,000 a year, or a fortune, or friends, or contacts, whatever. Okay. Next, don't bring your needs to the marketplace. People foolishly go to the marketplace and say, well, I need this, and I need this, and I need this, and I got to have this. And the marketplace just backs away and says, could we please talk to somebody else? This guy's got too many needs. I need 15 minutes, and I need 10 minutes, and I need consideration, and I need. Make this note. The marketplace is only interested in your seed, not your need. Your seed being your gifts, your seed being your disciplines, your seed being your willingness, your eagerness, your abilities, your skills. That's what the marketplace is interested in. They're not interested in your needs. They're only interested in your contribution. If you go to the marketplace and say, hey, I'll read every book that's necessary. I'll attend every class that's necessary. I'll go to night school as long as it takes. I'll learn extra skills, whatever it takes here. I'm ready to go. I'm telling you, the marketplace will welcome you with open arms. I'll come early and I'll stay late until I get the hang of it. I'll do whatever's necessary. I'll grow, I'll change, I'll develop. I'll express, capitalize on my capacity and do the best job I possibly can. I'm telling you, that's what the marketplace is interested in, not your needs. So make this note. Hide your needs and show your skills. If you're sick, don't bring sick talk to the marketplace. Go talk to your doctor. Go talk to somebody that's sympathetic outside of the marketplace. Hide your needs. You got social problems, go talk to your minister. Go talk to somebody who's got some answers, but not the marketplace. Why? The marketplace is not interested in your social problems. They're not interested in your family problems. Go talk to your minister. Go talk to a friend. Go talk to somebody who might help you outside the marketplace, but not the marketplace. Hide your needs. The reason why we talk about confidence when you talk to a doctor, because he's not going to tell the marketplace how sickly you are. Go talk to your banker. He's not going to tell how broke you are. He's supposed to hold it in confidence, to keep confidence. Go talk over your social problems with a minister, priest, somebody. Why? They're bound to hold your confidence so that it doesn't leak out to the marketplace, where it's so critical how much you earn and the influence you have and the skills you can portray and invest in the marketplace. So hide your needs, show your skills to the marketplace. Here's one more on personal development. Code of conduct. It's a good idea once in a while to just sit down and develop a little code that you're going to live by. Here's what I want to be known for. Here's the reputation I want to build. Code of conduct. For your business operation. Here's what we want to be known for. Here's what we will do. Here's what we will not do. Here's as far as we go, and we won't go any further. Here's the way we're going to do business. Here's the reputation we want to build. This is the deal. That's a good idea. Now, here's one of the best on personal code of conduct I ever heard, and I'll give you time to write it down. A sports writer asked Dr. J, Julius Erving, famous basketball player here in America, what was the secret to his success? Julius made a fortune playing basketball. He's still highly wanted as a speaker. Kids love him. He's still unique beyond belief. Unique guy. And the sports writer said, Julius, give me the secret to your success. He said, here it is. And I'll give you time to write it down. He said, I demand a good health care plan. No, it's not what he said. Wasn't that what the Pilgrims said when they landed? Where's the health care plan? No. Here's what Julius said. I demand more of myself than anyone else could possibly dream up. I demand more of myself than anyone else could possibly dream up. What an incredible personal code to live by and play by and exercise your skills by. Julius is saying, nobody has to get on my case. I get on my own case. Nobody has to say, I wonder if Julius is going to show. Julius always shows. I demand it of myself. Now make this note. Society will let you go broke. Society doesn't demand that you become wealthy. Society doesn't demand that you not have a heart attack. Society doesn't demand that you build a financial wall around your family and nothing can get through. Society doesn't demand that. You've got to demand that of yourself. Society doesn't demand that you extend yourself to the full extent of your capacity. Society doesn't demand it. Society doesn't demand that you become noble. Society doesn't demand that you become healthy. Society doesn't demand that you become an expert and develop incredible expertise. Society doesn't demand it. If you want all of those qualities, you must demand them of yourself. This is where personal responsibility reaches the outer limits. Demanding of yourself the skills that it takes to develop the income, to take care of your family in the style you want to the rest of your life. You must demand of yourself to walk with dignity. Nobody else is going to demand it. You must demand it of yourself. To be extraordinary instead of ordinary. Society will let you get by with being mediocre. Society doesn't demand that you be the best. Society doesn't demand that you become a champion. Those qualities you must demand of yourself. It's one of the greatest parts of personal responsibility, making the demands not on other people, making, first of all, demands on yourself. Let's cover now a subject called the 5 abilities. These were so helpful for me back in the early beginning. Because when I started on this project of personal development, giving up blaming everything else, which I did up until age 25 when I met my mentor, Mr. Schoaf, my whole philosophy up until then was, it's them, not me. And then he turned that all around and said, no, it's not them, it's you. Once I understood that, then rather than waiting for someone out there to fix a more level playing field, or to fix a more generous society, or to fix a more generous company, or wait, for the ethnic questions to get settled, or to wait, for the political climate to get better, that's when, as my announcement said when I came on, my mentor said, for things to get better, you've got to get better. For things to change, you've got to change. And then he put it in the form of a promise, which is in one of my other seminars, but let me repeat it here one more time. He said, if you will change, everything will change for you. And these things we've been talking about here are some of the changes I started to make. Now, it was almost like going through withdrawals to give up the blame and take the responsibility. That is a pretty traumatic experience. Rather than saying it's them, it's me. But once you've turned that around, see, then it gets to be not burdensome, but very exciting. Because what can them do very quickly to change your future? And the answer is not much. What can everybody else do to secure your health and your financial future? And the answer is probably not much. But what could you do to change your financial situation and your future? And the answer is everything. And you can start immediately. You don't have to wait for the next election. You don't have to wait for a turn of events. You don't even have to wait for a change of normal seasons. Any day you want to, you can start a new springtime called opportunity for yourself. And you can start today. You could wait a year and, just hang out. Or you could start immediately. So when I heard some of these things, I decided to start immediately, taking advantage of the opportunity to make the personal changes, not to make changes in the marketplace. I couldn't do that. Not to make changes in other people. I couldn't do that. Not to make changes in the political system. I couldn't do that. All I could do was vote the best I could. The rest was out of my hands. But I had a great deal to do with changing myself. I started that process at age 25. Now, some things came a little tough. Tomorrow we're going to talk about setting goals. That came easy. But some of this personal development stuff, I'm telling you, came a little bit tough. But day by day, I finally got through it. Week by week, I finally got past the drama and the trauma of change. Accepting responsibility, I'm telling you, is a pretty tough experience. But once you've done it, it's like breaking the sound barrier. It's like finally reaching orbit. It's like finally, now it starts to sail. It's like watching an athlete that performs, and it looks so easy. You know, for Michael Jackson to do his song, and for the other Michael to do his dazzling stuff on the basketball floor. All things seem to be easy once someone has developed the skills and the foundation. Then when they perform, oh, it looks easy. But those early days were traumatic for me as I gave up little by little them and said, no, it's me. Then I got excited when I found out it was me, because he said you can multiply your value by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10. If you're waiting for your boss to multiply your income by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10, you got a long wait coming. But he said, you can multiply it by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10. Now, see, that revolutionized my life. It revolutionized my thinking. It got me to take hold on some of these things that started developing character, started developing skills, things that I'd passed on before, let slide, started picking up on. I'm telling you, it changed everything. So this is some of the stuff I went through. And I'm asking you to at least consider it. And one of these subjects now is called the 5 abilities. Let's go through them. Here's the first one. Develop the ability to absorb. Be like a sponge. Soak up everything. Part of your challenge here for this seminar is to soak it all up. 1, try to remember it. 2, take the best notes you can. 3, capture the essence. Capture the scene. Capture the moment. I'm going to remember this scene. I'm going to remember the lights and the people and the sights and the sounds. I'm going to remember the people I spoke to and people I met and taking pictures and signing autographs. I'm going to remember this scene. It's going to be locked in my memory because I've learned how to do that, to absorb the occasion. I couldn't wait to get here, to watch it all unfold. I couldn't wait for the experience to be part of my life. Here's what's exciting about what we call group dynamics for your notes. You only have to bring one person, but you get to take away the essence of everybody that was there. We call it splendid group dynamics. If there's only 100 people, you bring one person, you only bring 1/100th of the personnel to the experience. But you get to walk away with all that the 100 generated. The sight, the sound, maybe the ideas, maybe the handshake, maybe the exchange, maybe getting to know someone. So just showing up yourself is a fairly small contribution to what you can walk away with, if you're so inclined. Now, if you treat it blasé and if you treat it casual, then you walk in and walk out you walk out just about like you walked in. But if you treat it seriously and say, I want to capture the essence of the moment, the spirit, I want to capture the vision, I want to capture the sight of the future, the sound, I want to capture the people, what goes on for my heart and soul as well as for my head and the ideas that penetrate my thoughts. If you'll really consider it that way, you can't believe what the day will yield for you, what the experience will yield for you. This is going to be high on my credit list when I walk away from here, because I'll carry the memory with me when I'm on the airplane in a couple of days headed for Paris, and then headed for London, right? And then headed for Milan, Italy. You know, I'll carry this scene with me, and it will serve as mental substance and emotional content, equity. So I'm asking you to learn to do the same thing. Here's the key. Absorb the day as you live it, as you go through it. And don't just try to get through the day, get from the day. Let the day teach you some more about life and people. Let the day inspire you, or let the day puzzle you. Let the day make you wonder, let the day give you answers. But whatever it is, get from the day. A lot of essence by the time you wrap it up, the sun goes down, or the clock strikes midnight and the day is finally finished. Gather up. That's important. I've got a friend of mine who has this skill so completely down. It's unbelievable what he gets. More exciting to have him go to Acapulco and come back and tell you about it than it is to go yourself. And why is that? Because if he goes, he won't miss anything. He'll see all the sights. He'll meet the people. He'll soak it up like a sponge. Then he has the ability to translate it by language when he gets back home. And that's another gift. We'll talk about that one tomorrow. The ability to translate what's going on in your head and your heart so that it can benefit other people. First your family, the people around you, then your friends, then your enterprise, then your community, and maybe your country. By language to describe your experience. And when he comes back from a place like that, I'm telling you, when he talks, you can feel the water lapping on your feet. You can smell the aromas. I'm telling you, you can see the colors and the people. You can hear the sounds. He has this gift of language. So I'm asking you to learn to absorb, take in, okay?